Hello and welcome to the Economic Times Employee Excellence Summit 2022, wherein CEOs, CHROs and other business professionals discuss how organizations can help their employees grow by providing employment stability, leadership roles, care for emotional and mental well-being and much more. On this episode, we bring you an exclusive event highlight. First up, we have Dagmar Walter, Director ILO Decent Work Technical Support Team for South Asia and Country Office for India, sharing her global outlook on where do we stand in terms of green employment, skills development and workers' protection.
Ladies and gentlemen, we must realize that the pandemic has hurt young workers the most. According to ILO's very recent Global Youth Employment Trends report, the total global number of unemployed youth is estimated at 73 million this year. One form that has attracted the young workforce is gig and platform work, which is replacing traditional work for many. Now further, ladies and gentlemen, India has a large agricultural and also manufacturing industry. These two sectors can generate green jobs that limit greenhouse gas emissions, minimize waste and pollution, and improve energy and raw material efficiency, ultimately contributing to low material footprints and ecosystem restoration. Also here, we have the potential to create some 8.4 million jobs for young people by 2030 through the implementation of green and blue policy measures. Companies and businesses like yours have a golden opportunity to shape the future of work with young men and women who are now entering the labor market by leveraging these different opportunities, demonstrating empathetic leadership, and investing in the youth. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, by building a culture of trust and involvement, businesses can nurture their talent, which leads to enhancing the employee experience. The foremost way to achieve this is by engaging actively in social dialogue and collective bargaining. India Inc. has survived the worst of the pandemic and looks towards adopting more sustainable systems that work in tandem for employers and workers. As the International Labour Organization, we are here to basically support you. I wish to all of you every success in realizing workplaces that establish cultures that are socially responsible, promote employee welfare, and support the sustainable development of this country. Thank you so much.
Next up, we bring you a special conversation on eliminating harassment in the world of work. The right time is now.
You mentioned that there are a lot of sexual harassment at work cases as well that come to you. And we know that there is a POSH Act of the 2013 as well. And most of these complaints, while they go to organizations and organizations handle it internally, for the purpose of the benefit to the audience, which are these cases that are coming to DCW and what do you do with them? Are these referred back to organizations or is there any other way of handling them?
So we get a lot of complaints, and especially regarding sexual harassment at workplace law. But it's very unfortunate that the matter still remains very underreported. And I feel there are multiple reasons for this. Firstly, women till date fear a lot of stigma. Secondly, they fear victimization, and in many cases we see that actually they end up getting victimized after reporting the matter. And the third and last and the most important, I think, is that the entire implementation of the sexual harassment at workplace law, it's really bad. It's bad in terms of the way the workplaces are implementing the law, but it's even worse in terms of the way the government is actually ensuring the proper implementation of the law.
इसके पीछे जो सबसे बड़ा कारण है वो सोसाइटी का स्ट्रक्चर. अगर इस पूरे फाउंडेशन की बात करें, नॉट ओनली इन इंडिया, अगर वर्ल्ड की बात करें, तो जो स्ट्रक्चर मैकेनिज्म है वहाँ पर अगर हम पॉलिटिक्स की बात करें, हम मीडिया फील्ड की बात करें, हम बड़ी बड़ी कंपनीज की बात करें, जहाँ पर मोस्ट ऑफ द मेल मेंबर्स ऑनर हैं, और ऑनरशिप में जहाँ पर फीमेल वर्क कर रहे हैं वहाँ पर उनको अपना एम्प्लॉयमेंट को बचाना है, अपनी जॉब को बचाना है, या फिर उनके अगेंस्ट जाना है. अगर फैमिली की बात करें तो पैट्रियार्किकल माइंडसेट अभी भी उन फीमेल को जिनको एजुकेशन से डिप्राइव कर रहा है, जिनका एक सोशल फैमिली का जो स्ट्रक्चर है जिसमें जॉब करने के लिए परमिशन नहीं है, वहाँ पर उसको चूज करना है कि अपने हुए अगेंस्ट हैरेसमेंट के अगेंस्ट फाइट करना है या फिर उसको अपने कैरियर को बचाना है.
Moving on, we have a power-packed panel discussion on diversity, equity and inclusion, offering employees a sense of belonging.
I think in the last 2-3 years, the significant leap has been that it is not really an initiative. It is embedded in ways of working. It is embedded in our processes. It's embedded in the way we engage with our customers. It's embedded in the way we actually create an environment in our performance processes, in our talent reviews. It's just becoming a way of life for us. And that is why it's becoming more and more inclusive. I think the more focus area that we are now moving towards is equity and belongingness.
Equity is a very important word for us to understand. We realized that, you know, when we were hiring some talent, and of course we started a study by looking at some of the women talent that we were hiring, they were getting less paid in the industry. At a junior level, of course, there are standard salaries, but at a senior level, what should be paid for the work that is done, we will pay that. And for us, that was something that was important. So that was the first step that we took.
We at Sony Pictures as well take diversity, equity, and inclusion to be a thread bearer of the content that gets delivered to you in your households every single minute of the day. And that happens only because we are able to include a diversity of thinking, a diversity of regional perspectives, global perspectives. And today I can say with a lot of pride that our content creators are not just more than 50% women, but more than 80% of our content creators are diaspora of people representing various parts of the country. With that perspective, hybrid only accentuated our journey towards D&I.
Inclusion as a concept has always been there as a part of the Tata culture. And we, being a Tata company, have inherited those as a part of the legacy. In fact, we have what is called a Tata Code of Conduct, which has one of the tenets being inclusive. So, and this is kind of drilled down to all Tata employees. It's a part of the culture. And along with that, we also have a governance mechanism.
As we grow in the organizations and as the ecosystem is changing, the key differentiation for women leaders to sort of grow and sustain is how do we facilitate this social fabric, whether it is informal and formal both, with the structural intervention in the organization, which has helped them stay, sustain, and grow. I think that helps in a big way.
We at P&G believe in an inclusive environment from day one. So from the time a new person joins the company, we are able to foster the inclusion environment by a P&G specially curated program, which makes them understand what are the unconscious and conscious biases they will face. And we continue to use case studies to ensure they are able to identify and overcome from the day one. And that's the inclusive culture we want to build in.
Up next, we bring you the CEO's view of employee excellence. Can innovation in the business model help in expanding your business canvas?
So let me start with you, Madhvi, and this is one thing that all of us have been hearing now for some time. Everybody in the audience heard of the Great Resignation. Now we are hearing of quiet quitting. In this entire context, what exactly can businesses do to address the changing nature of employees and the way they are thinking right now?
I think the phenomenon is not new, the word is new. And I think it is to do with the fact that, you know, we earlier used to work entirely from the office, then we worked entirely from home, and now we've got this hybrid model. And remember that all our line managers are not really skilled in managing a hybrid workforce. So I think from an organizational point of view, the first thing we need to do is train and skill our line managers, because they are the point of contact. They've always been the point of contact for our employees. So how do you train them to manage that hybrid workforce, you know? And I know there's been a lot of discussion and debate, you know, is hybrid here to stay? From whatever feedback we've got from employees, it is here to stay. People want that flexibility, and we have to enable that.
Of course, organizations are struggling with things like quiet quitting because there's also that connectedness issue, right? We just have to, like Madhuri said, acknowledge that hybrid is here to stay, and then how do we ensure that people feel that they are part of something? That feeling has sort of dwindled given that we've been hybrid, and I think organizations are on that journey, and over time we'll discover what the right mix is to be able to extract that cultural correctness.
Oh.
Just to add one quick perspective, I think we all bemoan this great resignation and quiet quitting, and the headlines seem to always suggest that people are moving for a 20% increment or a 30% increment. But I think that comes later. The disengagement happens much before that. And when somebody quits, then yes, they have options for a significant compensation hike. So we really need to go back and understand why is that disengagement happening in the first place. And more often than not, it is a lack of connection, as Arvind said, with the purpose of the organization, what we're trying to achieve.
All right, so that's all that we had time for, and you guys have been total sports, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for indulging us.
Moving on, we have a chief guest address on empowering employees, laws to protect employee interests in the backdrop of global challenges by Supriya Sule, Honorable Member of Parliament, Baramati Lok Sabha Constituency, Maharashtra.
Is for me, diversity would go a little bit beyond there, where I bring the gender issue as well and talk about a different area of it, which is also the LGBTQI, because I feel that in policy making, that's one group which is so-called cool to speak about, but we all as a society have reservations. And when we make policies, policies have to be inclusive for everybody. So I see women still getting left out, and I'm not saying this because I'm a woman. So that's not about me, but there are millions of women who really need to be included about in this entire new India that we are looking at. So in labor reforms, there are major things that we must consider. It has to be inclusive. I think the labor bill is something which we are open to discussing, but it needs more feedback from stakeholders, which is not only the unions, but we want people like you also to be a part of it. Thank you very much.
It's time to launch the Economic Times Employee Excellence Coffee Table book, which will encompass success stories of companies who have done significant work in providing their employees scope for not just growth, but overall well-being. And Supriya ma'am, I'm going to ask you to do the honors and launch the cover of the Coffee Table book. Now, let's get down to the felicitation ceremony. And joining you for the felicitation ceremony is Swati Maliwal, Chairperson, Delhi Commission for Women and noted social activist. Swati ma'am, request you to please make it to the stage. We have Broadridge Financial Solutions.
You never step into the same river twice. So as an organization, whatever you're doing today may not be relevant tomorrow. And whatever we did during the pandemic may not be something that we want to continue to do. But coming from that philosophy that life is changing, at a speed where nobody has a control and nobody knows what's coming forward, we have just, based our fundamentals on two things, right? One is trust, wherein we're going to be totally trusting of our associates who are working. We believe that they align with the organization. They have a common purpose and a vision with the organization. And that's why everybody is building, towards this one vision that we have come up with. And the second most important is open communication, leveraging on those kind of communication channels, becoming a little informal in the communication, but at the same time, giving the right, bit-sized information out is what we have been focusing on.
Next awardee on stage, HDFC Ergo General Insurance Company.
One of our hashtags at HDFC Ergo is Ease at Work. We believe in making access, processes, systems and interface simpler. These efforts are then complemented by another hashtag called Engage to Thrive. At HDFC Ergo, our motto is that engaged workforce contributes towards efficiency and effectiveness of the organization.
Let's welcome Mo Engage.
To promote the employee efficiency as well as the performance, it was important for us to align with or tune into in terms of what the employee preferences are. To begin with, we embraced a kind of an optional work from office kind of a model. We also introduced a quarterly goal setting process as well as check-in process, which promotes the continuous feedback mechanism. Over and above that, we are currently automating a platform which can enable a continuous feedback process for our employees so that they feel they're heard and they can offer us their feedback on a regular basis.
And up next we have NTT Data.
Physical and mental wellness of our employees is our #1 priority. And we are very proud to offer a work environment that is truly inclusive, flexible, and sustainable, and one that celebrates our employees' accomplishment. So honestly, success and excellence is a simple mantra for us at NTT Data. It is keeping employees happy because happy employees contribute better to organizational goals.
Let's give it up for Procter & Gamble, India.
So I truly believe that employees can be satisfied and efficient if they are able to bring their authentic self and perform at peak every day at work. So at P&G, we foster a culture which enables everybody to be able to thrive, learn and grow. We put in our hearts and mind to ensure we are able to understand the needs of the employees and able to provide them solutions in our inclusive culture, which then fuels their personal and professional growth.
Let's hear it for Raymond Lifestyle.
So the key for businesses today to survive and sustain, they have to balance a fine line between the organizational growth and being frugal. We'll do all these things, but we should not forget about the most important thing is well-being of our employees. The answer lies on how do we confront these challenges is, the answer is keep your practices simple, but not simplistic. Creating employee experiences. We have responded to the situation, we try to recover from the situation, and we rejuvenated the thing. We relooked at our org structure. We revamped our entire org design, owing to changing trends in employee tastes and preferences. But at the end, we want to ensure that employees are happy. We have recreated our talent philosophy. We recreated our talent frameworks. Recently, we have launched an AI-enabled bot to measure and evaluate employee effectiveness, employee perceptions, employee sentiments. Of course, we listen to them digitally, but we action it physically. And as a result, what happened in our organization is, it's a turnaround. It's a success story. Our profits become threefold. Our engagement has gone up. Our employee attrition has come down.
Okay, let's welcome Reddington.
In Reddington, employee is a very integral part of the organization, and we have taken a lot of initiatives in terms of employee engagement, employee satisfaction, and providing a great employee experience. For instance, Reddington globally is in 37 markets, and what we are trying to do is we are going to integrate the entire global people practices and ensure that an employee who is here in Jaipur and an employee who is in Dubai has a similar experience when it comes to learning, development, as an organization, the policies, everything.
Reddington has always
pivoted its organizational excellence to its employees, and we have had our employee first approach right from the early days. And I take this opportunity to thank Economic Times for the Employee Excellence Award, which has been effect of many people policies that Redington has evolved over the years. There's been a lot of learning and development that we bring to our employees on a regular basis, not only from the part of building technical capabilities.
And everybody, please put your hands together for Vantage Circle.
To empower global organizations, Vantage Circle has come up with, a model recognition framework that actually helps organization capitalize on the recognition part of it. Now, this is with implementation of more than 600 plus companies with over 250 plus large frameworks. We have developed our own proprietary framework called AIR, which denotes appreciation, incentivization, reinforcement with emotional connect.
And we're inching to the final award on this list. Let's hear it for Volvo Group India.
We are moving from a product based services to a solutions and services. And we are also looking at how eco-friendly we are going to be and what we can do as a corporate and what we can give it back to the society. That's a big thing. And right now we are moving from the concept from a competition to collaboration, right? We partnership and we collaborate with a lot of our stakeholders in the same ecosystem where we are operating with. I think that's the biggest move that what we'll be able to do.
And ladies and gentlemen, with that, we've come to the end of the felicitation ceremony. Can we have a huge round of applause?
Up next, we have a special conversation on employee centricity, a key pillar of company's growth manual.
Arijit, if you would like to, if you could share your views on employer centricity as a key pillar of company's growth manual. What are your perspectives on this topic?
What used to be trendy once upon a time has become the need of the hour, and people really want to be associated with a purpose. And what happens is that when you have a good purpose, strong purpose in an organization, it creates a shared need, a shared purpose, and it permeates into the mind of people, creating more belongingness. So I think that's not only about employee centricity, it's also about human centricity. It triggers the emotion of people and brings in more productivity. So I would look at employee centricity in that way. The second part of it, I would say that if you have to evaluate your employee centricity philosophy, and you figure out that your philosophy says that your employee centricity principles is 50% of intangibles and 50% of tangibles, there's maybe something is not right in the organization. What I would suggest is that if you should go for a 75 to 25 ratio of 75% intangibles, because if you have an organization which believes in tangibles to create employee centricity, you may land up to be a platform where people will come and temporarily stay for a couple of years and go away. But if you have a purpose, if you have a strong undercurrent of culture going around in the organization, people will stay longer. Employees want to grow with you at the end of the day. So you have to have an environment where employees are also getting future ready and you are also getting growth in the organization. So they should feel that the organization is concerned about them and they are getting not job ready rather than future ready. We can make policies, we can make processes, we can make rules and regulations, but the touch of human soul should not go. But if you give an employee an opportunity to participate in creating those rules and policies, it creates a lot of buy-in and engagement amongst employees. It turns out to be one of the key things that we need in an organization. So that's in short what could work for all of us.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Arijit.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Our next session decodes the bear versus bull market. What should your profitable portfolio look like?
Mutual fund Sahi Hai has gone a long way in attracting investors to the disciplined SIP route. The surge of discount broking firms, unprecedented gains in stock market have attracted a lot of investors in the market of late, and the demat accounts have already breached the 10 crore mark. As a fund house, how are you navigating the current times?
For the next 1.5 years, the markets are going to be very volatile. But if anyone has the capacity to stay for 5 or 7 years, there's great money to be made in the market. Also, the fact that returns from the markets are lumpy. It's never linear. Linear means an FD will give you 6% year on year. Markets, people say, acha, 15% to de dekhta hai, 15%. But that 15% comes over a time. There will be 4 years where you'll make 0%. There will be the 5th year you'll make 50, 60% and it'll take care of it. So the long-term thinking is very necessary. If you have 5 or 7 years to hold on, I think we're well poised to make great returns from the markets.
Thank you, Neil. And thank you, audience. It's been a very engaging discussion.
Thank you so much. Thank you.